Lots of people asking about OnlyFans. This one always comes up. Realistically, I could probably go more viral if I jump in a bikini. I've been asked to do Britain's Got Talent. Exactly how big is your forehead? Oh my God, this is like the bane of my life. Did you think your life would blow up like this when you started doing this? I've spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on it. Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm gonna be answering questions. Anyone who follows me on Facebook and Instagram, I asked on my stories to ask me anything, absolutely anything. That I did get. I got lots of questions covering life, work, jump rope, other stuff. Without further ado, I'm gonna get into them and answer them for you guys. So I'm gonna start with a couple of easy ones. How old are you? I am 33. How tall are you in centimetres? I am 173 centimetres, which is like 5'8". What kind of fence is your back? Ground, bamboo, cedar, pine. Thought I'd add this one because it does make me laugh. So many people who aren't based in the UK ask about my fence. If you live in the UK, you'll know that it's the most standard British fence you could come across kind of thing. So yeah, I don't even know. Probably from Homebase or something like, does Homebase even exist anymore? I don't know. How many songs do you have to choose from at the moment? Oh my God, this is like the bane of my life. Choosing what song to jump to is a huge part of what I do really, but it's really hard. A song can make or break a post. You know, sometimes there's just not very good music out there, or the music isn't the right tempo. So it's really difficult for me to actually find songs that are both engaging and really good that I like, because sometimes they're trending and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm not doing that. And let's move on to some job questions, because there are a lot of these. A lot of people asking what my day job is. I had somebody say, what's your job in real life? Or are you only an influencer? It's interesting that people refer to something that's not being an influencer as real life and being an influencer as not real life. But I get what they're saying. It's like, what people often think, and this is what I'm finding from my questions, is that it seems to be that people think it's really possible to have as much presence as I have on social media and still hold down another job, or, you know, have that much presence yet still need another job. I mean, obviously I can't speak for other influencers, other content creators. For me, I have been able to make a living from creating jump rope content since I hit around 100,000 followers within less than a year of doing this. I took the leap, went pretty quickly, and there's lots of things that I earn a living from, basically. But it all pretty much stems from creating content on social media. So obviously I work with brands. I've got my ropes, which I've consistently had for nearly 4 years of the 4.5 years I've been doing this. I do brand partnerships with clothing brands, nutrition brands, all sorts really. I monetize my platforms that I can. So I share content across 5 different platforms online. So I have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and now Snapchat as well. Instagram, out of all of them, is the only platform that doesn't monetize, that doesn't pay you anything. And to be honest, it's not groundbreaking from TikTok. YouTube has been pretty good since I've posted on YouTube. I earn from my shorts and from my long form videos like this. Yeah, Facebook you can monetize on as well. I'm just getting started on Snapchat, so that's something else. But that's like a nice little baseline. And then I earn money consistently from my ropes and from brand partnerships. That income enabled me to invest quite a lot of money into building my jump rope app, Fancy Feet, which is another source of income. Although saying that, my focus on the app at the moment is developing it, adding more and more features, adding more and more content, and just kind of throwing the kitchen sink at it because I can and want to, and that's a long-term project. And app development is stressful, a lot of work, it's very time consuming, it's very costly. I could take an income from it if I wanted to, but that's just not the goal right now. So my job is that basically, and then the rest, like the business admin, the planning, the management of people who are working across some of these projects and stuff. So yeah, it's a lot, to be honest, and although I'm way more flexible than I was in corporate jobs or whatever, I work way more hours. Is it better to jump slower but for a longer time, or jump as quick as possible but for less? I don't actually know what the exact physics around this is. The physics around jump height is if you're jumping slow, you're going to be jumping higher. So in theory, your landing is going to be harsher. Actually, jumping faster, you're going to be able to stay really low to the ground. You're not going to be landing with such an impact. So in theory, I think that is better. But what I don't actually know is, like, you know, I know what the impact is, but then if you jump slower, you'll do less jumps in a longer time, but if you're jumping faster, you'll do more jumps in a shorter time. So I don't actually know what the exact comparison would be. One thing I do know is that when I'm teaching and I'm demonstrating skills for videos and stuff, when I go slower, I feel it so much more. I do actually think that, you know, getting proficient over time, I think that's why people find at the start that they're more open to injury, because that's what's happening. They're jumping slower and having to land heavier. When you get better and better, you can go faster and you'll find that you can stay lower to the ground, and it's much more efficient and better for you. But you know, I'm not a scientist, can't say exactly which is best. As a CrossFitter, I want to know how many double unders you can do in a minute. To be honest, I've actually never tested how many I can do in a minute, and I probably should. I've actually only ever tested how long it took me to do 100 on a PVC rope, 5mm PVC. So this isn't on a wire rope, which I'd be much faster on. And I could do 100 in 53 seconds. And this was a good 2 to 3 years ago. So I think probably in a minute, I would estimate on a wire rope, I'd probably be able to do, I reckon, probably 120 to 130. Maybe I need to test it. Maybe that's too much, I don't know. Please tell us your go-to activewear brands. I love all of your outfits. My leggings, most of them are from Honor Active. I love their Effortless Seamless range, and I also have a lot of their sports bras. I wear a lot of their clothes. My skirts are from FP Movement. I absolutely love them. They're quite spenny, but they're really good quality and they just last for ages anyway. Workout dresses and some leggings from Halara. They're really good. I do love Halara because it's really affordable and everything comes in so many different colors. And I also have a few outfits from Gymshark. Particularly love some of the sets they have with the long sleeve tops and bottoms. I find some of the other sportswear brands, they just do very basic long sleeve tops, just a block color. Whereas with Gymshark, I like some of their animal prints and stuff. I think they're really nice, and they sort of add cutouts to their long sleeve tops and stuff. So yeah, I like that. What hair products do you use? How many times do you wash your hair per week? I want to say first off that I have hair extensions, just because I think it's always important to be real, because my natural hair would not be in the condition that it appears to be because of my extensions. Because I have my extensions, obviously, and generally because I'm trying to look after my natural hair as much as possible, I do make sure I buy really good products that are good for your hair, and I get my hair coloured as well. So I actually am trying a different range at the moment that I don't think I like, so I was just going to test it to see if I'll switch into it. So I think I'm going to switch back to my trusty Michael Van Clark. I love their range. Since I got my hair cut by Michael there quite a long time ago now, back before I had extensions, and then I started using their products. I actually got gifted them initially, but I love them so much that now I buy them myself, and they have a really good treatment as well, which I use, and they have a blow dry, what do they call it, blow dry balm that I like as well, so I put that on after I've washed my hair as well and before I dry it. Talking about other products as well, I love my Dyson Airwrap, and I also have like a curling tong which is kind of flattened, which does waves, and that's what I've actually used on my hair today. So yeah, that's that. What was that noise I just made? What's that? Had you received any criticism on what you do, and how did you react to it? So I get criticism quite a lot. I think it just comes with the territory. You can't possibly put yourself out there in the public without getting criticised. I do think, to be honest, with what I do, anyone who's got a problem with what I do, I think is really, it's a non-issue. Like, there's some things that people do where I think it's like, okay, that's controversial. So the criticism is probably fair. Like, people are stating their opinion and they kind of have a right to, because you're doing something which is controversial and you probably know it is. I don't feel like I'm controversial. I'm literally just having fun skipping in my garden, you know? So anyone who criticises that, I think it's more about them and some deeper issues with them than it is about me. I think obviously you get criticism as a content creator if you work with brands sometimes and things like that. That does kind of get on my nerves a bit, because it's like people literally watch your free content day in, day out. It's there for free. So yeah, and I also got a lot of criticism when I launched my app. To be honest, I feel like this is the first time I can just talk kind of really freely about it, because I almost was scared to talk about it before. Like I'd be judged again. God, like the criticism. My app is self-funded. I put tens of thousands of pounds into it to get it off the ground, and since it's launched I've carried on and I've spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on it. When people criticise me for charging a fee for a monthly subscription on that, it does get to me. It shouldn't, but it gets to me, because I'm like, I work so flipping hard. I provide so much free content online, and then someone's criticizing me for charging for a product that cost me a fortune to make, and not just money but time as well, and to continue updating and continue working on. Like, Fancy Feats is amazing as it is, but there's still so much to do, and I'm continuing to work towards that. But what I have to do is remember that on the other side, there's thousands of people who have used and loved Fancy Feats. I know that my intentions are pure. Like, I can sleep at night because of my intentions are good. Like, I just want to get people into jump rope, and you know, I have to pay the bills because I spend all my time doing this, and I can't hold down another job whilst I'm doing it. Ultimately, I'm not here to make a quick buck. There's more to this than just making a living. How many people are on your production team? Well, as I kind of just alluded, I don't have a production team per se. All of my videos, my jump rope videos of me outside doing my routines, I self-shoot those. And then the routine itself with the music, I do that edit, I do all the movement and everything. I do that all by myself. And then I also send all of the footage off to Ellis, who edits my behind the scenes videos, and he also helps me with my vlogs. So for Lauren Jumps and all of that creative, it is just me, and I outsource some of it to Ellis as well. And then I also have, for my app, obviously that's slightly different, I do have help on the editing side for the socials. The marketing agency I'm working with at the moment, they're also scheduling content. To be honest, a lot of the ideas, they're coming from me, and I'm kind of coming up with the strategy. So yeah, there's not a big production going on here. I do also have Fancy Feats, the content for that. Some of it I self-shoot, like the routines, which I'm adding weekly. The bulk of like the skills and combos, I book a studio and a production team for that, or I book Rocky and he brings his team. Yeah, there's a team on those things. A lot of it is on me. Any tips on how to handle shin splints and jump rope? Am I doomed to never manage some tricks? So shin splints are a typical beginner injury, and the reason you're getting them is because you're doing too much too soon. See, I mean, look, people talk about conditioning, but at the start, I'd say increasing little by little is gonna condition you to jump for longer later on. It's a bit like when you're lifting weights. You wouldn't go and squat 100 kilos your first time squatting. You'll start with something literally like 20 kilos just to get your form right, and then you'd increase gradually over time. And if you went in and squatted 100 kilos straight away, you'd really hurt yourself. So it's no different with jump rope. You shouldn't be starting with 60 minutes if you've never done anything. You shouldn't be starting with 20 minutes if you've never jumped for 1 minute. Really bear that in mind and stick to 5 to 10 minutes when you first start, and then increase very, very gradually from there. And if you've got shin splints right now, you need to stop jumping until they go, and then do exactly what I said. Start with 5 to 10 minutes and increase gradually, and you'll be absolutely fine. I can jump now for like hours, to be honest, with no issues, obviously on and off, like stop start, and the trick is increasing gradually. Can I give some nutrition tips? I just feel like I'm not really qualified for that. I think nutrition is very nuanced. You can't say too much about nutrition without knowing the bigger picture for someone, what they're doing for exercise, their height and weight is. There's so much to it, and it's just that belongs with a coach. What is the biggest misconception about jumping in your opinion? It's high impact. It is not. Obviously, if you want to do multiples where you're doing triples and quads, that is high impact. Normal jump rope that most of you will be thinking of, where you're just jumping over the rope, one rotation and you jump it, that's pretty low impact. Anything at the start is going to feel like higher impact because it's new and you know you're getting your form right. But when your form is right, it's actually very low impact. Are you still doing CrossFits? I haven't seen posts in some time. When I was doing CrossFit, I was actually just dabbling. I prefer to do my own strength training sessions. I've just got a routine that I do in the gym and it's always worked for me. But there was like a time where I was just struggling with motivation around a couple of days. I was doing like 3 days at the gym and then I'd do 1 day at CrossFit, and then I'd just share that on my stories. And it's actually funny how, because in the gym, my normal gym is obviously busy and it's difficult to film, whereas CrossFit, it was very easy to film. You guys would see on my stories, you'd see me going to CrossFit and it would probably appear like that's all I do. This just shows actually how social media can really skew like what's actually happening and give off an impression of something. Like, people thought I was into CrossFit full time just from me posting one story a week, but because I'm not sharing the rest of my gym routine, that's what they assume. Anyway, I digress. It was good for a short time where I needed that bit of motivation, but I prefer to get a really solid routine in place. And obviously with CrossFit, they would change the routine every 8 weeks or something. It might be less than that, I can't remember. Every 6 weeks, don't know. Then it would mess with my other sessions. I just decided to retweak everything and just go back to doing my 2 leg sessions and 2 upper body sessions in the gym. And since then, I've been fine. I do think with CrossFit, I think it's great for people. I think the community aspect is brilliant, but I do think, like, for me, just doing CrossFit as a whole, there's just too much injury risk. And with, you know, my job being so dependent on me being able to move my body and not be injured, yeah, it was worrying for me. Where can I find dance and footwork tutorials for beginners? On my app, Fancy Feet. Go-to takeaway dishes. If I get a Wagamama's, I love a chicken katsu curry. If I get a Nando's, I love a chicken wrap, medium, halloumi inside and pineapple inside as well. That's my go-to. I do love their mac and cheese as well. I love like a Greek or like a Turkish dish with some nice grilled meat and some dips like hummus and tzatziki and stuff. That's sort of my ideal meal. I just eat so much, to be honest. At what age did you start with the rope? I started at 28. Do you make a new video every day, or are you filming a few and then post them every day? So I know that a lot of content creators batch produce content, but for me personally, it's just not sustainable. So as you've seen, it takes me anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes to choreograph and get a routine down. I mean, sometimes it's less than that, but most of the time, you know, I'm working on something challenging, and that's why it takes the time it does. But then by the time I've done that, I'm like tired. Also, it's like my brain coming up with different routines. I know people comment and say they all look the same, whatever, like they are different. And I know that most of you realize that. And to create different routines like that, you do need to like reset your brain. Like I can't just churn them out in a day. It's quite a lot of work, but it's good. So because I enjoy jumping, it's just my session. I enjoy creating routines and jumping and jumping to music and doing that. So it's just part of it. At the moment, I'm averaging about 4 sessions a week, and just for filming, and then maybe an extra one for filming Fancy Feet's content or doing other things. You know, really, if I could, I'd want to be just doing my own thing, jumping 5 or 6 days a week, but it's not possible. Lots of people asking about OnlyFans. This one always comes up. You are available on OnlyFans? No. What was your first ever job? I was a receptionist in a hotel that I ended up working at for 6 years in total. I left there having managed a reception and everything. Like I worked my way up to reception manager and then I ended up in leisure, like selling gym memberships, and then I ended up in B2B sales, recruitment, all sorts. Do you weigh yourself? No, I can't remember the last time I weighed myself. I think I usually sit at around 62 kilos, if that means anything to anyone. What are your goals for the next 5 years with your business? Main focus is to keep on building on Fancy Feet. I do have another project, but I'm not going to say anything about it yet because it will just put too much pressure on myself. But yeah, the main thing is Fancy Feet, and also make it not just an app where people learn to jump rope, but just like the go-to place for jump rope, for everything jump rope. So yes, I've got some other ideas and things to expand on with that. What's the best rope to use to learn to do tricks? I bought a speed one, not sure it helps. Yeah, so speed rope isn't great. If you're referring to like a wire rope, they should be avoided for tricks in general. Really, they're only suitable for repetition on open skills. So just like your double unders, you're just banging those out, or speed step. But if you're actually wanting to do variations of footwork and tricks and everything, you're actually manipulating the rope, you're doing crossovers and swings, you're gonna find a wire rope difficult to control. And you wanna learn all those sort of things on a beaded rope, ideally. PVC will still give you a bit of control, but it's less control than beaded. And I'll put the details in the link in the description. Do I accept music recommendations? I do, but as I sort of said earlier, it's really difficult to find the right songs. So for me to use a song, I have a pretty good idea of what types of music do well on social media and what types don't. But I also do test things. So I'm like not adverse to trying something a bit different. If the tempo is really good and it's a popular song, then the chances are going to be much higher. Don't forget as well, because some of you request songs that I have already done. So don't forget, if you're requesting a song, just scroll through my videos to see if I've done it, because I might have done it already. Why jump rope? What was the genesis of the interest? I followed for a long time Carmel Rodriguez, who is a fitness influencer, and she did various types of fitness things. And I followed her mostly for her strength training, but she always did a bit of skipping, and she had this really good footwork, and she still does. She's really good at her footwork, and it's just kind of quick and neat and cool. And to be honest, it's not as extensive as what I do now, but it's still impressive. And at the time, for me, it was impressive and intriguing. And I was like, I want to try and do that. I didn't for ages because I didn't have time. I was like, if I'm going to try that, I need to have time to do it. And I just never got around to it. And I had quite a strict, not a strict routine, but I worked in the corporate world. So I would work like 9 till 5, 9 till 6, whatever it was. And then I would go to the gym, and then I'd do my weight session and then come home. And that worked for me. I didn't really do any cardio. I just used to eat pretty well, I guess. When COVID happened, I got furloughed and I had so much time. I saw her video again and I was like, okay, this is the time. I'm gonna buy a rope and I'm actually gonna try and learn this. And that's when it happened. I never thought I'd be where I am now. At the time, there was no one even 100,000 followers in the jump rope space, I don't think. Or maybe there was actually, but very few anyway. But it wasn't, I was terrible. So why on earth would I think that I would become what I am today? Do I still hang out with Skip and Sarah? We miss her. Yes, I do. And she's actually recently moved and she's much closer to me now. So I'm gonna be seeing much more of her. Do your knees hurt from all that jump roping? Again, a massive misconception. You get knee pain from jump rope. I did when I started, but because I overdid it. You can get injured from overdoing anything in life, from overdoing any sport. The same is with jump rope. And I think the problem with jump rope is to get a good workout when you're a beginner is quite difficult because you're not consistent with it and you're tripping all the time. So the problem is, I think people don't get out of breath. They still want to do more. They're not done. And I think that's the thing with running. We all, although form of running can be terrible as well at the start, but we all know how to do it. You can put one foot in front of the other. With jump rope, you can't continuously jump over the rope at first. So I think because of that, people end up overdoing it, and that's what I did. Yeah, that's just a massive no-no. You have to just stick to 5 to 10 minutes at the start and increase gradually. And in doing that, honestly, you will be absolutely fine. Jump rope is no worse for your knees than any other sport that you overdo. A bit cliche, but tips for growing your brand. Me growing my brand, which I guess is Lauren Jumps, and I've also got Fancy Feet. I never planned this. I never planned for Lauren Jumps to become a brand. I think what we can learn from this is that it's authentic, that it wasn't about growing the brand. The motive was something else. Putting ropes in people's hands, inspiring people with the sport, sharing the joy, entertaining people. Just ultimately I found a hobby I love and it was about sharing that with people. I think that is key for building a brand, that you're not kind of just thinking, how do I grow this brand? Because even going viral, right? You could go viral, but you want the message to be right. You want to go viral for the right reasons. I mean, realistically, I could probably go more viral if I jumped in a bikini, for example, but that's not what I want my brand to be. You need to be creating a brand for a reason that's bigger than just to create a brand that makes money. I think too many people do that. I think that's where brands fail. Why did you start recording your videos? So actually, when I first started, I discovered this tiny jump rope community. Literally, it was so small at the time. Now, jump rope on social media is huge. Back then, you could search #jump rope and you'd just find a couple of posts a day. That was there was this little community and people were commenting on each other's videos, encouraging each other, giving each other ideas of things to learn. And I was like, I just want to tap into this because I'm off work because of lockdown, but I don't want my friends and family to see. So I created Lauren Jumps and I didn't link it to my personal account or anything. And I was like, I'm just going to use this to share my journey. And also it was a nice way of having a timeline of my jump rope journey. So that's what I did. And then before I knew it, I wasn't just connecting with people in a jump rope space, I was reaching people who had never picked up a rope before. And they were asking me, where did you get your rope from? What's the best rope to start with? How did you learn this so fast? Can you do tutorials? And then I was like, okay, I want to help these people. So I'm going to start creating content to help these people. And then that just snowballed and here I am. Do you have any workout routines involving double unders? On Fancy Feet's app, yeah, there's a lot of workouts and there are quite a few I think that include double unders. Exactly how big is your forehead? Quite big, isn't it? Something's got to house my massive brain. Did you think your life would blow up like this when you started doing this? Absolutely not. Can you skip blindfolded? This is an interesting one because, I mean, yes, I can very easily. And this is another misconception that with jump rope, you're effectively jumping over the rope. You're dodging the rope as it comes up to you. But the truth is that it's not about that. You're actually just flicking down at the same time that you jump up. And once you get that timing, it doesn't matter how slow, how fast you go, whether you can see or not, you will clear the rope. So yeah, if you learn the right way from the right resources, then you should be able to skip blindfolded. How long you been with your husband before the wedding? We got married in 2021. We actually met in 2014. It's nearly 10 years since we met. It'll be 10 years next week since we met. We met the day after Boxing Day because he always has his annual piss up with the lads. I met him on that day in a nightclub because it happened to fall on a Friday or Saturday the year we met. The rest is history. McDonald's or KFC? McDonald's normally, but if I'm hungover, KFC. I love a boneless banquet on a hangover with gravy. What piercings do you have? I have 3 on one ear, 2 on the other, and my belly button pierced. Have you thought about doing Britain's Got Talent? I've been asked to do Britain's Got Talent a couple of times and I just always turn it down. It's just not for me. Like, the amount of time it would take me away from my business is just not worth what it could or could not be. I'm not a stage performer. There are people that do jump rope as a stage performance, and that's not me. I'm a content creator. I'm a jump rope content creator. I'm a jump rope enthusiast, content creator, and coach, I guess. When they sent it to me, they wanted something like a 1.5 minute routine as well, or 2 minute routine. I would have to really strip back my routine because it would need to be achievable. Like I'd have to make sure I'm not gonna make mistakes. Like it wouldn't be the typical fast footwork you see and complexity with the tricks combined with footwork that you see in my reels. You can't afford to mess up. My routine's very fast, so I'd have to slow it right down, basically. It's not a stress I need in my life. Are you originally from St Albans? Yes, born and bred in St Albans. Do you edit your clips and what kind of camera do you use? So I've mentioned about the editing. My camera, so for my jump rope videos, I'm using this camera, which I love. It's the A7S3. It's Sony, the G Master 1.4 50mm lens, which is great as well. G Master range is amazing. You know, I started off with just using my iPhone camera, and then I used Sony A6400 for a bit, and yeah, now I'm on to this camera, which is amazing. How long do you think your product can exist, and do you ever regret starting this? Jump rope has been around for centuries, so I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's only just getting started. I think there's so much to do in the world of jump rope, and people are just discovering this as something that's more than just a kid's playground game or something boxers do to improve their footwork and coordination. I don't know what is meant by this question, whether the commenter's talking about me and my longevity of doing this or what, but the idea of Fancy Feet is to be a platform forever that people can rely on for jump rope. If someone else is better placed to be the face of Fancy Feet one day, then I'll be open to passing that on to them. Like, the world is a crazy place, and I think anything can happen. In the last 4.5 years, lots has changed, lots has happened in the social media space, and I have always kept up and remained agile and kept up with trends and stuff. And a lot of people said back then that I'd just be a lockdown trend and people would get bored, but people are still here, and I'm still across my 5 platforms and still growing. So yeah, we'll just keep on going. But I think I'm going to end this here because I've answered a lot, and this is going to be, I actually said to Ellis this would be an easy one to edit, but I'm not sure it will be now. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for submitting your questions, and thank you for watching. If you want to get started with jump rope, I'll put details for all my ropes in the description, and of course you can check out my app Fancy Feet. You can try it free for 7 days, so got nothing to lose. I will see you in my next video. That's a wrap, innit?